So in your business, how do you navigate the throes of life, family, and being in business at the same time and working with clients? And do you see your challenges, your personal growth challenges showing up through your clients?
They're the same things. They are exactly the same things. I feel like I'm uniquely designed to help the clients that come to me because they are, they're either at the same level or just a couple steps or a couple minutes behind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just like, oh, I just experienced this thing. Here's how I approached it, if asked, right? But also, it's just like being able to get into their model of the world is the most important thing, so that we can really understand, so that I can really understand the mechanism as to how they've derived at the place that they've arrived at,
Mm-hmm.
right? But also, it's just like, but is that what you really want, right? Because we have we get lazy, right? Even in our language, in our attitudes, in our feelings, right? When we get lazy, we get complacent. But it's really about, people say, oh, it's just like, I don't want to get stagnant. But if we are lazy in our thinking and in our language, then you're already stagnant,
Mm.
right? So helping my clients understand, hey, look, listen, this is your landscape. You get to play in it, you get to create it. But also, if you don't like the results, it's your responsibility.
Right.
What are you willing to do that's different than what you've done and different from what they say you ought to do, right? Like, I had this one client who was engaged, and she broke off the engagement and she told everybody about it. And then I could tell she still loved him. And I was just like, of course you still love him. Like, you were going to build a life with him. Like, duh, right? And I was just like, well, motto is you will love him until you don't. You might
Mm.
sleep with him tonight. So y'all decided that. Like, it's up to you. Like, don't paint yourself. Nobody puts baby in a corner, right? From Dirty Dancing. Nobody gets to put you in a corner but you. And if you find yourself in a corner, the only person that can walk you out of it is you. But because of shame, because I said something that made, like kind of like put the nail in the coffin. Now I can't do other than what I said that I wanted to do. And it's just like, yeah, you could change your mind.
Right. Right. But that sounds like a lot of work, though. That
What
level
was
of
what?
sounds like, do you get pushback on the level of responsibility that's required?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not for the faint of heart, right? I'm not, you know, going back to my relationship, I was, we were having this discussion that was just like really, really bugged me. And uh, my husband said, oh, I said, when I've expressed this and shared this with the friends that I've shared it with, they agreed like this was ridiculous. And he's just like, oh, of course they're going to agree with you. And I was just like, no, 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 no. I don't choose people who kiss my ass. I do not choose, I do not need friends in my corner who are not going to push me to be the best that I can be. Right? If I need correction, I need a friend to tell me that I need correction. I'm out here. I'm like, there's no ceiling. I'm the ceiling. I'm the walls. I'm all the things. So I need somebody to come in my house and be like, girl, them walls is dirty. Right?
Yeah.
So I coach from that place, right? I'm holding the vision, I'm holding the line of who you said that you want to be, of what it is that you say you want to go after. And if it was easy, there'd be no need for me. There'd be no need for me, right?
Right.
I'm just checks and balances. You said
Right.
you wanted them, right? I tell my clients at the beginning of it, listen, you're going to get mad at me. Please understand, I do not care. I only care about your well-being. I care that you are well. I care that you are joyful, that you're seeking your highest joy, not happiness, right? Because that's a happening, but your
Right.
highest joy, right? That you are well with you. And even if you're not well with you yet, that you're on the road to doing so. That's it. Because the ripple effect of someone that is healthy from that place, oh man, come on. Like we because a new earth, a new world is being created, right? The split between 3D and 5D is happening. You could see it. It's like a filament, and it's getting longer and longer. As time speeds up,
Mm.
this filament is getting longer and longer, and everybody's having their experience, and you get to choose and choose your adventure, right? Like that is real. Like, right? It's like, wow, wow. Yeah.
So do you find a running theme of challenge with your clients? Is there something that seems to be like a running theme between them? Like if you was to say one or two things that seems to be the biggest challenge that most of them have?
Yeah. Just feeling guilty for being sad.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, like they feel sad. They don't know why they feel sad. Like they shouldn't feel sad because like they have all the things and the trappings and the no 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 all they checked all the boxes, right? But there's still this sadness. Either it's a sadness from childhood or it's a sadness from not being chosen, right, by a significant other. Yeah,
And
sadness.
does that resemble like a value or personal value? Or how does personal value play into that not being able to or having that level of sadness and carrying that? How does that play in?
It carries out through everything, right? So is it value? Yes. So I call it self-worth, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, Looking outside of self for things and people, like think of a noun, people, places, and things. Like if you're putting something outside of yourself, you're looking for a noun. You're looking for this thing, this nebulous mist of a thing that really is inside of yourself, but we have been conditioned to always look outside of self to take care of others in order to gain acceptance and value and love and
Right.
worth, right?
Hmm.
um and we can never do enough, right? Because it's like what's that nursery rhyme where it's just like, dear Lila, there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, a hole, right? So it's like if you don't address the hole, no matter how much you pour into the bucket, you
Mm.
always gonna have to be pouring into the bucket.
Right.
That's exhausting, but
And
that's what we do.
and it I'm familiar with that, believe it or not. I'm familiar with that, carrying that type of thing. And how do you feel, or the one's ability to realize their power? How
Hmm.
far how far away from that place are they, as long as they are looking outside of themselves for validation?
How far away? Wow, what a great question. 180 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
180 degrees. Which is not far, right? Because the sphere of self, like your where your avatar ends, energetically it extends out. But I tell people all the time, whenever the masses are telling you to look in one direction, please turn around. The answer is behind you,
Mm.
right? So if I'm looking out this way, the answer is behind where I'm originally pointing. It's here. It's
Yeah.
here. It's here. But that's the hardest place. It's the place no one wants to go. They're just like, like when I talk to clients who are like on the precipice, of being 30, right? Or for some people it's 40, right? It's like, oh no, I don't want to go. They're like Pepper Le Pew. They're like, oh no, right? And it's just like, but that's the very place you have to go, right? To birth a new you have to go into the dark. You have to go into the darkness. Nothing, 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 nothing on this planet, in the universe, in the cosmos is done in the light. It must be crafted in the darkness.
Isn't that something I came across? I can't remember if I came across it or if, or if I channeled it, but it was something about the doorways. The doorways are in our, was it the doorways are in our pains? The doorways are in those places where we have been frustrated or feel like we've been hurt. That's where huge wells of power and strength are behind it. If you can go through it instead of pushing it away or hiding from it. What do you hear in that?
Well, pressure creates diamonds.
Mm.
If you're complacent, then excitement, creativity, all the higher vibration, well, let me say this, all the juicy vibrations that
Mhm.
you're wanting, right? Compassion, thoughtfulness, kindness, love, joy, right? All those things are behind this door you don't want to go through,
Mm.
right? Uh, it's a portal. It's an invitation, right? It can start with an idea. You have an idea, you have an inspiration to go in this direction, but you don't know anybody who's gone in that direction.
Right.
There's no instruction manual.
Right.
There's no sign on the door to tell you what's on the, you just have a key, and it's like, do I do this thing? And it's just like, so I heard this guy, I love him, Dr. Be Serious, Dr.
Mm.
AH at the end. And he said, the weight that you carry is in the waiting that you're doing,
Mm.
right? The weight is in the waiting. It's like, what? That is
Mm.
it, right?
Mm.
And not for nothing, you look around in this country, how many people, like, from the time that we were children to now, who are carrying excess weight, like huge amounts of weight.
Oh yeah.
There's a link there.
I have an example of when I first got out of college and I had taken a sales job and I had huge fear of rejection. And I would sit, it kind of relates. I would sit and I would need to make calls. I would have all of my stuff spread out. But that fear of rejection would get so big in my sitting there thinking about it. And inside of me, I would be evaluating all the possible things that someone would say that would hurt my feelings, right? But the times that I was able to just make the call, once they answered, it was all gone. But in the waiting, in the preparing, in the allowing all of that stuff to flow, that's where the pain was.
Because you were stuck in inaction.
Yes,
You were in your mind full of scenario, but that's not action, right?
yes,
It's picking up the phone, inhaling, exhaling, and dialing 10 digits. It's
right.
like that takes seconds, but for you and in those scenarios like that, it's a lifetimes happen in
Yeah,
all these different
yeah,
scenarios. And it's that's what we do, right? It's just like you want a guarantee, you want this safety. Safety is not something that you were okay, so I'm going to talk about all the antidotes that I say nowadays, right? It's just like you beat out all the other sperm.
hmm,
You beat them all out to come here and sit down? To come here and have a short thing? Are you sure? Like, are you like, does that even make sense? Like, 46 chromosomes got together and made a you, right? You got
right.
hair, you got hair cells, you got heart cells, you got all these different things that are like playing this humongous, beautiful symphony that is you. For you to be guaranteed safety, what for, like what then what was the purpose of coming here? For what?
Yeah.
For why?
One of the things that's coming through now for me that we talk about is being on the edge of your comfort zone. It's like that's where the life is. That's where life is, being on the edge of your comfort zone, constantly finding yourself in a place where you're pushing your boundaries, where you're exposing yourself to the ability to grow and to expand, whether a little bit or a lot, past who you're being right now. Because it's like we're here to become the next and the next, and there's nothing wrong with that in whatever direction that is, right? Whether it's relationships or financially in business as a parent, you're becoming. Are you becoming the next version of yourself, the 2.0 version of yourself? That's the point, right? And you can tell when people are not doing that. That's kind of what we were just talking about. That's where all of the stuff is setting in, and they're a lot of times not happy with themselves. But that's why they're not on that edge, like that edge where you really you're able to breathe, where you're breathing. It's like, all right, let's do it. You jump.
Yeah.
The
Well,
edge.
like the assumption is also, like sometimes when people say, as people might be listening and watching this, it's like, well, I don't have excess weight. Yes, but you have visceral fat around your organs.
Mm,
Or, it could be something as simple as you have insomnia, but nobody knows it but you and maybe the person that you're sleeping next to, right? Or you don't use the bathroom in excellence. You should be able to look back at that thing and be like, I did that, right? It's just like, in and out, right? It's life is an accordion, as above, so below. So even the smallest, most minute thing, right? So when I used to be a massage therapist, getting people to deeply breathe from their diaphragm and not their upper chest, right? When you breathe into your belly, then the top of your body doesn't have to work as hard. The
right,
problem with that is that over time, because the ribs have such short muscles inside and outside, right? The outside and then the inside where your organs are. After a while, they get so tight and so constricted. What happens? So now it has to your neck muscles and now your upper back muscles have to help you breathe.
wow,
So then now when you start to breathe it from your diaphragm, now you feel lightheaded, right? If you yawn a lot, that means that you're not breathing deeply. Your brain needs more oxygen,
mm,
right? So we've been conditioned to be a cog in the wheel. And if I'm playing my part, um, then I don't have to think about the other pieces, and this keeps me safe. If I become an entrepreneur, then now I know that, I've got to learn how to trust myself to know that there's always a safety net somewhere. If I have a passion, we've been conditioned that we must monetize it. They're not mutually exclusive. I can have a passion that never materializes into money. It just helps my creative flow do that which I'm here to do, which is to create flow and experience.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when those things collide, awesome, amazing. Yes, great, go for it. But the second that you hit a roadblock, do something else, right? So like I came to a standstill with my business because we took this house. I'm looking around because I'm in my house. We every doorknob, every baseboard, everything that you can think about is brand new, and we did it ourselves with the exception of the electricity and the plumbing. Okay, and he did some of the plumbing, much much to my horror. Anyway, so the point is that I had to put my business on hold, and it took me a minute to relax into the idea of the question that I always ask myself: what is required here?
Mm.
Even though I had that question and I ask it all the time, I did not ask in this particular scenario. And
Yeah.
so it made me resent not being able to get to my business. And I was just like, but there's only one you. There's only one you. You're all hands on deck. You're making sure that you guys stay healthy, et cetera, et cetera. You're helping with, the construction of your home. Let it be enough. Right? So I'm putting all my creative energy into this house. But if I like, let's say I need to write a blog post, okay? And I've got writer's block, right? I'm gonna go color. I'm gonna go make a meal. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna do a myriad of other things to let the blockage remove itself. And of course, I'll be inspired in the shower when when there's no pen and paper, right? But at least now it's unclogged, right? So there's nothing stopping me from doing the thing, right? In college, I was always the kid that wrote the paper at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because now there was no, it was go time. Like I had to get it done. I had all this time, but I couldn't. I go, I distract myself, and I couldn't get it done. That's the way that my creative flow works, right? But then you watch all these like productivity gurus on YouTube and everything, and they tell you like, oh, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Listen, no, no, it doesn't work for everybody.
Now you mentioned symphony a minute ago, and it made me think about how, and you just kind of described it too, how life can be a symphony, that the importance or the priority of things in the moment can shift and change, and how you have to be okay with that and not let it be a source of frustration or a means for you to go into a low vibration, and recognize that your life is not in pieces, that it's all connected. And that's what I'm saying. You just described how you can go do something else, something that seems completely unrelated, but it allows the blog post to flow, or it allows the new business idea to flow. When you went and took that walk at the park, how everything is connected, and it's important for you to be aware of yourself and to know when you are in that flow and when you are pushing and trying to do things. Does that make sense?
It's perfect sense. It feels counterintuitive because the powers that be, or the people that are the loudest on the boob tube, will tell you that you gotta hustle, 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 right? It's just like, but you have ulcers. Why are we listening to you? Like, this is ridiculous, right? It's like, oh, but you have 4 children. Oh, you're not raising those children. Your wife is, right? Like, you have 4 children, yes, Benny?
Right.
But you're all hands on deck with those children.
Right.
Versus a Gary Vaynerchuk who can tell you that he's like at work at 10 o'clock at night. Great, because his wife is at home raising his children. So it's just like, when do we trust ourselves enough to be like, yeah, that's great for him, but this is the way that I need to do this, because these human beings that have been assigned to me need this from me, and I need this from them. I need to know that my eyes have seen them today, that I've asked them how they are, that I've loved on them, and I'm pouring into them in a way that they know that no matter what, I see them. What?
Right.
Like, that's golden, right? So, but those are the choices. It's like, and that goes back to, the beginning of this conversation. It's just like, how well do you know yourself? Can you stand your ground, right? As above, so below, right? So the symphony is the thing, the avatar that we call Fonda, that we call Benny, but it's also the symphony of who are the players in your life. And that chime is too loud. Let's take that out, right? We need to turn up I don't know music, so I don't want to embarrass myself, but like, what needs to be tweaked, right? It's a constant this, right? I had a friend of mine. She was a runner back in high school over 30 years ago. And she's talking to me about 30 years ago. And I'm like, girl, you're not the girl anymore. You're a big woman now, right? Your body is different. Things are different. What do you need to do today? Today, today, today. It's always
Mm,
today. Get
mm,
present, right?
mm.
You have to get present.
And that's an adjustment of the mind, right? Because you're saying get present, and as you were talking, I had on me the trusting yourself and not looking outside of yourself. Yes, you can look outside of yourself and find and get inspired, or see see an idea playing out for someone that you feel you could apply to yourself. But you have to make sure that you're not trying to be something or someone else. You have to find it inside.
You have to be your own version. So peak, if you must. Peak for inspiration, right? Don't need it though, right?
Right.
It should be a spark that you make a fire, right? If it, how can we, okay, I say it like this. If there are 8 billion of us on the planet and we are all God breathed, right? We are pieces of consciousness, right? Do we really think that consciousness source itself wants to have 8 billion experiences that are the same
Mm.
or different?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Like, if I were source itself, and I send and I'm because I could, okay, because I'm source, I could be like, nah, I don't want this many of me down here. All right. So when people talk about, oh, overpopulation, well, that's up to source. Source can make it just like that. Nah, y'all out of
Right.
here. Right?
Right.
Like, the dinosaurs ain't here no more. Right? Like I love elephants. But I'm curious about what the mammoth would have been, right? But I don't know. So it's just like, okay, so there are 8 billion of us here. Like, even though you and I are having this conversation and we are, we're in sync, we're in flow, we're having this great, beautiful experience. Our experiences are different. Our
Right.
takeaways are different. And if I watch this back, it'll be different again. So the sameness that we think that we're supposed to have, it's really about unlearning the lie. Where is the lie? If something is causing you a lot of pain, look for the lie that you have bought to be the truth.